Welcome to World Travel Made Easy with Itinerary Boss, the podcast for busy professionals who want to plan unforgettable trips without the stress. If you're craving adventure, relaxation, or cultural immersion, but feel overwhelmed where to start, this is the show for you. Each week, we dive into travel tips, expert strategies, and actionable advice to help you save time, money, and hassle while helping you design your dream trip. From group getaways to romantic escapes to adventure packed journeys and budget friendly tips, we cover it all. I'm Ross, your host and travel enthusiast, with over a decade of experience balancing a demanding career while also planning trips to over 25 cities in Europe, all over the US, Central America, the Caribbean, and beyond. I've mastered the art of stress free planning, and I'm here to help you do the same. If you love what you hear, don't forget to follow the show, leave us a review, as well as share it with a fellow traveler. I want to make your next adventure the easiest and most memorable yet. Now, on with the show. Welcome back to another episode of World Travel Made Easy with Itinerary Boss. I'm your host, Ross. And if you're a first time listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. And if you've been following us along on this journey and you're tuning back in, welcome back. For today's episode, we're going to dive into the Algarve, Portugal, and take you through a 3-day itinerary just to help you plan that next trip. We went there in September of 2023, and it's absolutely amazing. If you aren't familiar with where it is, it's actually on the south coast of Portugal. And it is one of the best beaches, kind of hidden gems that a lot of people don't know about. A lot of people sometimes may think it's Greece or other areas, and you're going to be amazed if you do take the trip. And if you follow us on socials, check us out at Itinerary Boss on Instagram. That's going to have a lot of the different photos in our mini content series that goes around and along with this episode, along with our blog post that has some of the deeper dives with photos, as well as if you like to get your content and read, that's a great place to go. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive in. And when we talk about Algarve, when you're flying in, the airport you would go into is Faro. So depending on where you're going, a lot of the times people would go into Lisbon, and for them going into Lisbon, then you can either take the train. It's about a 2.5 hour train down, or if you're in places like Porto, or if you've been following us along, if you're in the Azores, you actually can get flights there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you, if you were to fly, kind of what this would look like. And I will share my screen. And obviously, costs are going to be a little bit different just depending on if you're using points, if you're paying cash, if you're going, depending on where you're going. This is actually the heart of the summer. So my favorite time to travel to Portugal and just Europe in general is during the fall. So you can see here that there's not going to be direct flights here, but you usually would have one stop in Munich. You could have one stop in Dublin, places that are going to have direct flights from Charlotte. That's just from Charlotte. If you're going from other areas, a lot of the times they'll have direct stops in Lisbon. My suggestion is if you're planning to go here, I would just fly into Lisbon, make that your first stop, and then go from there. So once you get there, and first off, let me take a step back. The best time to visit is going to be the shoulder seasons. So April to June, as well as September, October. You're going to get good weather. You're going to get less crowds. It's not going to be as busy, and it's overall it's amazing. We went in September, and it still was 80 degrees and really great. So when you do fly in, I'll make this easy and walk you through. Once you fly in, pop this out. So this is the Faro area. So when you start to think about what you're doing, and I'll pop this out just so you have a better understanding. But here's Lisbon. So you can either take the train. We actually flew from Porto. So Porto would be up here. We actually took a flight from Porto, which was, it was about an hour flight, pretty easy. But once you come down into here, so you would get in, and some of the best towns to stay in are going to be Albufeira. So this is a great, it's a smaller fisherman village, but it also has a great nightlife. So I always recommend let's get a rental car because that's going to be, if you want to go to different places, you can, and you can go. So what we did is because we wanted to hit all three towns. So, and we're not going to walk, we're going to drive. So it's about a 30-minute, 39-minute drive with traffic, just depending on where you're coming from. So you would come here. We made a pit stop in Albufeira. It's amazing, and I would highly suggest it. You can stay here if you'd like. That's one of the top three I would recommend. And then from there, you also have Praia de Roca, which is where we stayed. And then you also have Lagos, which is going to be over here, which is where we went for a day trip. So those would be the best towns to stay in. It just depends on what you want to do. My suggestion is if you have 3 days, stay in Portimão, and then that way you can do a half day in Albufeira. You're then going to stop at the Benagil Cave, and that's the famous cave that a lot of people are most likely familiar with, which you can see right here. And then you'll stay in Portimão, and Praia de Roca is the amazing beach, which is right there. So it's awesome. That would be my suggestion. But once you get there, I'm just going to walk you through what we did and what I would suggest. So once you get there, again, you'll fly in. You will, get your rental car, or if you come in from Lisbon via train, you would then get your rental car, come to Albufeira, have a half day at the beach, if you'd like, or if you'd like, you can mix it up. Go to the Benagil Cave. There's boat trips you can do. You can do some hikes right around there. If you want to do that earlier in the morning, you're going to beat the crowds. So you could do that instead and then have another day at Albufeira. But to keep it simple, just from a logistics standpoint, our flight got in early. We got a rental. We went here, had breakfast, saw the beach, hung out. Then, if you want to get reservations, you can get reservations here. You can do that. And then from there, spend that, half day here. And then you could come to Praia de Roca, check into your Airbnb. We stayed in Portimão. I'll link that in the show notes of where we stayed. And then, once you check in, get settled in, you can walk down on the beach. One of my favorite parts about Praia de Roca beaches was they had these boardwalks where once you go down, they, not like I would say a beach in the States, but they have these long boardwalks that stretch across the beach. So even when you're walking out to the beach, you have these, so you're not having to trek through a ton of sand. And then on the boardwalk, if you want, there's a bunch of restaurants, bars, things like that. So it's a pretty cool area. It's got a good nightlife, very central. And then from there, we went to dinner at Canico, which it's nestled in between cliffs. It has a bunch of breathtaking sea views, and I'll have images on my Instagram within my blog post, but here's just so you can kind of get a picture of some of the images. This is what it looks like. It was amazing. They actually sat us, this is the inside of the restaurant. We actually sat down underneath, which right here on this deck, so looking out, which was great. So you have a pretty cool, yeah, this is actually where we sat, down here on the patio. So you have a pretty cool view out into it. So take a look at that. I would highly suggest it. The food was great. So look into that. So that's what we did the first day. Second day with that rental car was nice because you had the ability to go to Lagos and spend a full day there. So you're going to want to go to Ponta de Pedide, which is a very famous place. The beaches, I wouldn't suggest to spend your day at the beach because they're definitely crowded. It's rocky, but I would definitely suggest going, checking it out. It's beautiful. There's some hikes. There's a restaurant up near there, and then from there, I would suggest going to the town and then just kind of walking around the town. You can grab lunch. We didn't plan anything for that day in the town. We just went with what what we just wanted, just depending on our appetites. That would be my suggestion is you don't have to plan anything. But some of the beaches there are Pride Day, Dona Ana, which has golden cliffs, amazing water, just see-through water, which is awesome. But yeah, my suggestion is go to Lagos, walk around, and then there's beaches all around. So if you just want to go have more of a relaxing beach day, go do that and spend the day there. And then after for dinner, we actually went to No Solo Agua, which the food there was great. Sushi is right there on the beach. It's a day club and a restaurant. So we went there that second night. We were able to walk down the boardwalk. It was about a mile walk, but that was the nice part about Portimão is it was central and it was right in the center of everything. So you had a casino, you had a bunch of different restaurants, bars, things right there. So if you do like nightlife and you do want to, get out some, I would suggest staying there. There's definitely a lot to do, especially in that, shoulder season, September, May, when, summer's passed, but or hasn't begun, and it's easy to just not be as crowded. So from there, for day three, we actually rented a day cabana. We just wanted to relax at the beach since we had kind of done our 1.5, 2 days of activities. So we actually got a day cabana at No Solo Agua. So that was nice, and it wasn't super expensive. I think it was $50 for the entire day, and it actually had. So I'll just show you some pictures here. It actually had you're able to get some amazing food. They would bring it to you. My suggestion would be get the pool cabana because you have the pool and you're right there on the water. And it was just, I mean, it was great because they would bring a lot of the food was good. We probably got the best octopus that I've had, and it was massive. And it was so yeah, you have the pool, you have the DJ set up, you have you're out there on the water, and a DJ comes on around, I think it was 3 or 4. So yeah, my suggestion would be definitely go there, make a reservation prior, and get the octopus. It was honestly like this big, and I think it was like $15. They have service. You can get bottles. It's honestly very affordable. I think for the entire day we probably spent 120, $150 on the pool cabana as well as drinks. I think we got a bottle of champagne and our food. So highly suggest that. And then, walking home from there, just enjoying the beach, going down to the beach. The best part about the beach there for Praia de Roca is they have these just massive, just rocks, cliffs. It's pretty cool. You're walking through it and you're just like, this can't be real. And then for dinner, I would go to Club Now. It's a beachfront restaurant and they have live music. Definitely pre-book your table and get a reservation, but you'd have to take an Uber. And what we did is we rented our car for the first 1.5 days so we could drive around and see that stuff. And they actually had the same rental from the airport um, within within Portimão. So my suggestion would be, and I'll drop what we used Garin Guerin car rental, which we were able to pick it up. And when you go on their website, you actually can pick up and drop off. So here we go. So you actually can pick up and drop this off from when you pick it up at the airport, then you'll drop it off in Portimão, and that's what we did. And that honestly, I mean, it saves you a day and a half. And sorry, my internet's being slow, but you'll take that, drop it off, and then when we went to dinner that night, When we went to Club Now, we just took an Uber and it was a 10-minute Uber outside of where we were staying. And Ubers are very easy to get, which is great. So make sure too, with some of the new features in there, you choose that you don't have a currency within the Uber app if you go to settings, because if you don't, you're going to get hit with a 1.5% surge fee charge just based on foreign transaction fees. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, overall, I mean, that was the 3 days that we had. If you are exploring, like I had mentioned at the beginning, it kind of just depends on your itinerary. But we did Azores to Porto, flew down to Faro, and then from there took the train up to Lisbon. There is a Portimão train station, so you can get to that, and it'll take you up. We actually, from a logistical standpoint, we actually took the Faro train station because that made more sense and was easier. We just caught an Uber to the train station. We booked those tickets in advance. And from there, and we used Rail Ninja as the tickets. You can use those across Europe. And we just picked Faro, picked Lisbon as our destination. And then it was about a 2.5 hour train ride. So pretty easy. Tickets were cheap. The Faro train station's pretty small and not super busy. So just, get there, I would say 15, 20 minutes before, just to save yourself some headache. But yeah, that's how we did that. And if you're planning to fly up to Porto, I would suggest just booking a flight. Pretty simple, pretty easy. It just depends on your itinerary, but easy ways to get in and out. And yeah, definitely do the Benagil Cave. That's a must. Book those reservations in advance. Praia de Roca, definitely if you're doing that beach, stay in Portimão. It's going to be the best bang for your buck between Lagos, Albufeira, and it's central. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. And then, like I had mentioned, you can go to other places like Lisbon, Porto. If you want to go to other areas, you could look, on the other side of Faro. So if you're coming over here, I've actually heard great things about some of these areas. And you can combine it too if you want to do a Spain trip. If you're looking over here, right, you could go over to the south of Spain. You could go to Seville. I've heard great things about uh, Malaga. And yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but that's the itinerary that we did was flew into Faro, drove here, stayed in Portimao with our car, went to Lagos. And if you have more time, you can explore all these places, but that was the things that we did. From a budgetary standpoint, very affordable dining. There's a ton of different restaurants. Those are just the ones we did in Portimao. So if you're looking for recommendations in Lagos or Albufeira, there's plenty if you just search online. And then just packing, I would just suggest in this, you can wear shorts and if you're a guy, shorts and a t-shirt. Girls, dresses. It's nice and warm, not only during the day as well as at night. So my suggestion would just be pack bathing suit, sandals, walking shoes, and that's pretty much what you're going to pack for your entire uh, Portugal trip if you're going during shoulder season because it's going to be warm. And yeah, make sure you have the essential sunscreen, sunglasses, all the fun stuff. And yeah, English is going to be spoken throughout, and that's one nice thing is people do enjoy having tourists there. And yeah, I highly suggest it. It was a great place. Hopefully Charlotte gets direct flights there or to Lisbon. So, it's just an easier way to get there. And if you are interested in how to travel there on points and miles, I'll link a how to get, travel on tap Portugal, which is usually what's going to go into Lisbon. I'll actually link a article within the show notes. And if this is your first time or you're a reoccurring listener, make sure that you share this with a friend or family member who might want to go to Portugal, who may want to travel more, or who's trying to learn more about rewards. And if you are just now listening, make sure you check out our stress-free travel toolkit. That's going to hook you up with a vacation document checklist, a packing checklist, of over 10 years of lessons learned that I've used trying out a bunch of different products, good, bad, as well as it's going to give you a budgeting finance spreadsheet and five insider tips that I've created over, the 10 plus years I've been traveling. So, and make sure, this is why we have this background. If there's any area that you like to get your information, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, go give us a follow, and you'll be able to just get all this content right there. So appreciate everyone tuning in. We will look forward to sharing the Lisbon deep dive next week. And then after that, we'll have some exciting stuff where we dive into what I just mentioned with the stress-free travel toolkit. We'll kind of break that down, why that's important. And then from there, we're going to dive into rewards, how to use credit cards to maximize, your travel, how to also save a lot of money there, and have a lot of really good upcoming guests who are going to dive into more of the credit cards reward space and kind of break that down in a very simplistic way to make travel more affordable and accessible to everyone. If you're single, if you're a couple, if you have kids, we're making sure that we're bringing it to everyone who's a busy professional who, might be overwhelmed. You may be seeing challenges. You might not know where to start. And that's our goal, right? We want to help you travel more, save you time, save you stress, save you money. So appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.